education. Me and you are finished. If you jumped on a bus and went down the coast road and out to the south of Dublin for education.
Oh, come on.
I don't know, I'll just go with Clontarf.
Yeah. This is awful stuff. This is desperate. Turn this thing off.
Join Bruce Betting now for a risk-free first bet up to €100. That's right. New Irish accounts can enjoy a risk-free first bet up to €100. So if your first bet loses, we'll refund your stake with a free bet. Now that's giving you more. Bruce Betting. In store, online, and now on your phone. T's and C's apply. Please gamble responsibly. See dunlewy.net.
This is OTB Sports Radio.
Friday Night Racing.
On Off the Ball.
And they're off.
Brought to you by Go Racing. Plan your day at the races at goracing.ie.
And you're very welcome along to Friday Night Racing. It's Johnny Ward stepping in here for Ger Gilroy today. We're in association with goracing.ie. We hope you're looking forward to the weekend, and we're certainly looking forward to this show because today we're joined by a legend of his sport, a true icon of his genre and an absolutely true original. John Duggan, how are you?
Johnny, that was just the best intro I've ever had. But Paul Carbery is here beside us.
He's all of the above.
He is. Paul, I just remember the Grand National in 1999. Bobby Joe, first Irish winner in 24 years. And it was a big thing at the time. Really big thing. I know we're winning them every year now. But Paul's just a great jockey. Just the most naturally talented jockey I ever saw at a racecourse.
Big words, I completely agree. And do you know what appropriately happened just before the show? He arrived late, which wouldn't be unusual for Paul. But you're finally here.
You've reached the winning post, though. You're on Friday Night Racing.
Yeah. And your daughter, Casey Lou, is outside looking in.
She is, yeah. She had to comes with me everywhere, most places anyway. So
we've a packed show today. Just right now, we're going to give you a little sting of something that we did actually last week. I visited Ferry House with 3 jockeys who were all doing their leaving certs. Started on Wednesday. I must admit that Ben Cohen actually wasn't sure what day his leaving cert was starting. That was only 5 days beforehand. Paul, does that ring a bell to you?
Well, I was that brainy. I'd done my leaving before the intercert.
Here's a little sting of what's to come from the 3 jockeys.
I went to Jim Bolger's 3 years ago now. I went in 2016 and obviously I took the year out then for transition year and I spent a year down with him before I signed on to him. And my mother wanted me to go back to school then from there, and obviously the boss was fairly keen on it then as well. So that was it, I went back to school. As I said, same as Andrew, I spent that long in school and might as well finish it out.
Look, my father is obviously fairly big into the horses and he was fairly confident that I'd choose to do the right thing, and my mother was fairly big in education.
My mother is Andy's sister, so I was always around horses, but I didn't start till I was about 9. And I kind of took off from there and started pony racing when I was 11 and never looked back since.
Ben is pretty laid back. He is fairly unfazed. He was hoping that you'd get a few points for getting your name on the leave, and that was his first start because these lads didn't seem too interested about the leaving cert, but in fairness to them, they're doing it, John.
They are, and it's very important, but it's not the be-all and end-all of everything, really. It's important to do what you love, and it is quite a stern examination for young people, I find, if I remember it myself. So I think the University of Life is more important, and I think Paul has been through the University of Life, haven't you, Paul?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have to do what you love, and you need to love your studying if you want to get through the leaving. So you're not much business there now if you want to be riding horses anyway, I think. But it's something to have when if the riding career doesn't go the way it planned, so I suppose they have to do it.
Were you under any pressure from the family at the time? Or?
No. I had my 16th birthday on a Friday. I was still in school and I had a riding a pint on the Sunday and I won on Joseph Nib and went back to school for a week and this is here, out of there.
Who was that, the teachers or your parents?
Parents, there's not much point to go back. So
you got as far as your intercert?
Yeah, before the intercert, yeah.
So school wasn't going behind the agenda?
No, I didn't do great in the marks and there wasn't much point in doing the intercert, so get out of there.
The scar on your face, is that riding related?
That was hunting, yeah.
Hunting. We might be able to see that. Can you show your face to that camera actually? How did that happen?
just going through a bloody walkthrough, and I put my head down, and the bush caught me, and it ripped the whole side of my face off.
Were you riding horse at the time?
Yeah.
Like, so you were. Did you come up with some excuse that it was race related, or did you have to tell the boss, no, I was out hunting?
Oh, no, I think it was I couldn't be. Not sure if I was finished actually or not. But no, it was one of the usual scars anyway. So.
You absolutely love hunting.
Yeah.
What so?
I suppose it's just the thrill of not knowing what you're coming up against, what you're going to jump, and following the hounds, the cry of the hounds, and not knowing what's up next to jump is the main thing, I suppose, and challenging yourself every day when you go out.
What's the highest thing you'd jump in terms of height, like? Compared to an entry fence now or something like that of the old days?
Jump plenty of big hedges with big drops and big massive ditches near the rivers, so jump them all.
Do the horses enjoy it?
They do, yeah, they love it. The good horses do anyway. Like, and the real good horses take to it, and they'll do it, just have to turn them and they'll go and jump. Bad horses, they just, probably it's ability, they're not able to do it, so they can't do it. But the real good horses, it's a great thrill to ride them jumping it.
Is it a thrill you get addicted to?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Because I saw when Richard Dunwoody retired from race riding, Paul, he went to the South Pole and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Do you find that hunting kind of fills the void of not being, say, at the races and
exactly.
the crowd and all that kind of thing?
Yeah, it was always something I was able to... I'd done it all my life when I was riding anyway, so it was always something to take away from racing. If you had a bad day racing, you go hunting, you just forget about everything, so it's brilliant. It's great to get away. It gets away from the bad days in racing, so...
Just on that, what was the best day in racing? Was it Bobby Joe?
Oh, Bobby Joe would have been definitely, yeah.
It was funny because Ruby said Papillon was his best as well, and there's so many
year before was Bobby Joe, and they actually were 1 and 2 in the 1998 Grand National, in the Irish Grand National.
Yeah.
So is it more so that you're riding for your dad, or is it the fact that it's a national, or is it both?
National was me growing up, was always the one I wanted to win. From I was very small, and the fact that Dad was the last man to win it on an Irish horse before that was a big bonus as well for Dad.
Trained by your uncle?
Yeah.
Dan Moore Escargo.
My granddad.
Yeah, Pamela's dad, actually.
Yeah, Pamela's dad. So, great bit of history there, and great for Dad to train the next one.
Just going back to hunting, I wrote a piece about the Green Party today, and that the Green Party obviously had a great election, and it brought back an interview I did with you a few years ago, which I couldn't find actually because for whatever reason it wasn't on my email, but it was the most animated I ever heard you in an interview, because you'd be known as a man of kind of few words, but the Greens, obviously the Greens in the last election, the general election, their manifesto proposed a ban on hunting. Now, just how much of a blow would that be to the likes of the Ward Union hunt that you're involved in and the community in general of hunting?
They were a big blow to us because I think they got into bed with Fianna Fáil got into bed with them, and they promised to do a lot first, and then they got in, they sort of ruined it first. So
Fianna Fáil had promised to kind of help you.
Yeah, and then when they got in the election with them, they said they couldn't do anything because they were in with them. So
they were stymied by the Greens.
Yeah.
But like hunting is something that I'd say to take away from the likes of you would be pretty decimating.
It would be, yeah, definitely. A lot of us just live for the hunting and have all our lives, and there's a lot that goes into it on the outside that you wouldn't realise, like getting the hounds ready, getting everything, the horses, the farrier, everyone takes part in it. So,
what about their angle about cruelty?
Well, like we're hunting deer, and like you catch them and bring them home, so you're not out to be cruel to the deer. We look after the deer very well, so you can't really say that we're being cruel to them. And that's their natural instinct is to run. So.
Let's start about your racing career. We obviously had Gavin Ryan on there, one of the three jockeys, probably the most sensible of the three, although they're certainly good lads with big futures, but you share something in common in that you start off with Jim Bolger.
Started off in
that was university, that was
boarding school.
yeah.
What was that like?
I learned a lot there. Bit good.
You'll have to give me that pen as well, because I'd say you were like that at school. You were just lashing off the table. But how did you get to Jim's in the first place?
I think Dad said he sent me there.
The late Tommy Carbery.
It was too light to go over jumps straight away. Although it's all I wanted to do, because all I lived for was jumping. But he said you have to do a few years on the flat just before you get heavy enough to go over jumps. So he said he sent me down there. And
he probably had a fair idea of what was in store for you.
Yeah, that's it. He did. I thought he'd be a good lad for me to go down and learn. Jim was always good to his apprentices, so he thought he'd give me a good chance.
Who was there at the time?
Christy Roach was there. Billy Supple, James Heffernan, Conor Everett, myself, AP, and Calvin McCormick. I think we're about 8 or 9 of us.
Who did you bond with?
Myself and McCoy used to live together, so we had good crack, and was Billy Supple still lived in the same dig. So,
are there any photos of you and McCoy actually from that time together or anything like that?
Was there cameras around then?
Were Jim and Jackie out taking snaps of you?
No, definitely not. No.
Was it incumbent on you to go to mass and all that?
During Lent, yeah.
Yeah, during Lent. Just 40 days isn't too bad.
No, it wasn't too bad.
Did you have any idea at that time how your career would develop or how McCoy's would develop? Because obviously you're two of the biggest names that ever came into racing.
Well, McCoy was always a very promising rider as well. I was always hoped I'd be good too. So.
And I suppose, how long did you spend there, and did you decide that you had to move on?
I think I left before the 3 years was up. I just had enough. Wanted to get out and go jumping.
When did you feel, like you said, you'd hope you'd be good? When did you feel in a big race, that you rode a really great race, and like a Saturday race might be on the television or whatever, Paul, and you felt, this is my moment? My first moment.
I don't know when the first one would have been. I suppose I was quite lucky when I went to Knowles. It just sort of clicked, and winners kept coming. And then, I think it was the year after, was Champion Apprentice, so it just sort of happened fairly quickly when I went to Knowles.
Do you remember your first winner?
First winner was Petronelli for Jim in Leopardstown.
What was that like?
That was brilliant, yeah.
Yeah, do you remember much about the race?
Yeah, I remember she was very fast, speedy filly. Took it up and won very well.
It's funny, that was 1990.
Yeah.
The Phoenix Park was nearly still going at that stage.
Yeah.
So you're talking, I was there last night, which is nearly 30 years later, and Jim had a winner, and Kevin Prendergast nearly had the Derby winner at 86. Yeah. It's amazing the longevity of these people.
Still going, yeah.
Yeah. We'll say from Jim's then, you spoke about going to Noel Mead. It's funny just reading on Wikipedia here that the first line is Paul Carbery is a retired Irish national hunt jockey. Doesn't really do much service, is it?
No.
Well, Wikipedia, you don't believe anything you read there.
No. But how did the Noel Mead link is basically what people remember you for in the main. And how did that start?
No, Dad knew I wasn't, my parents knew I wasn't really happy with the way things were going in Mr. Bolger's. So
why was that?
I just didn't think I was getting enough rides, and there was plenty of competition. So
was Christy Roach champion? Was the jacket? That's it. Yeah. So you were apprentice struggling for what? And Jim, his apprentice can be there for some time. Ron Whelan's been there now for some time.
You're just waiting in line for the. There was too many there, so just thought I needed to get out and go somewhere else.
What did Jim say when you told him?
He wasn't too happy.
Yeah.
He said it wouldn't be heard of again, but sure, I told him it hadn't been heard of yet, but.
He wouldn't be heard of again. That is one thing that Jim Bolger definitely got wrong anyway. Although Jim was heard of again, but how did Noel Mead take to you?
Fairly well. I would have known Noel a small bit from the hunting field. He was a great man for hunting as well, so he did see me out hunting a good bit. So
I didn't know that, because he was more of a farming background, wasn't he?
Yeah. He used to love his hunting. So I had known him from that a bit, and then.
But you were presumably still a flat jockey at this stage, so you were going riding for him as a flat jockey.
Yeah, went there as an apprentice. He'd a good few flat horses at the time. So.
Who was his senior jockey?
Charlie Swan was.
Right.
Yeah.
So was it 1993?
Stephen Crane was on the flat.
Noel had the favourite for the bumper at Cheltenham.
Yeah.
Heist. And you beat him.
I beat him, yeah.
Tell us about that.
I just thought it helped me get the job at Knowles because I'm Mr. Mead. And he was saying afterwards, I just lost my £7 claim before that in Clonmel, and I was claiming 5 on rhythm section, and he thought that's what bet him. He was thinking he was a bit of a clown off for using my allowance, so that got me the job kind of.
And that was the day of the 3-day festivals, and we did them as many Irish winners back then. It must have been some adrenaline rush.
No, it was great. It was my first ride in Cheltenham, so it was brilliant.
Your first ride in Cheltenham?
Yeah.
Was it come from a classic Paul Carbery from behind? Nab him on the poster? Did you go for home, or what did you do? I
kind of kicked down the hill because my dad was a stayer, so sort of kicked and caught Heist at it. Caught Charlie napping.
What were the early years like with Noel?
They were good. All the years with Noel were fairly good because we had a great. We start off with a great relationship, and it lasted the whole time. So, great man to work for.
Yeah, what, like, was he a tough boss?
He wouldn't be a tough boss, but just to get your work done and ride to the best you can, and sort of.
When you took to jumps then, was that like, okay, well, this is what it was meant to happen? Like this?
No, I was always just waiting for the jumps for Dad to let me ride over fences or hurdles.
And obviously your dad Tommy and your mother Pamela, you're certainly bred to be a jockey, but your dad sadly passed away. How long ago is it now?
Be coming up to 2 years this year.
So, and how much can you thank them for, I suppose, for bringing you to where you became?
It should be wouldn't be happening without them. Two of them were great. Learned a lot off Dad, and Mum was great, bringing me to Bulgers every weekend and picking me up and bringing me here and there. That big part of my life is right, yeah.
I think your mother's overlooked in ways because your father was...
She's a brilliant woman, yeah.
You know, but like behind every good man and all that, but like she must have been some rock. Because you were a bit cracked as well, a lot of you.
Cracked, yeah, I don't know. How she managed us all, I don't know.
What's she like as a woman like?
She's very down to earth and very easygoing.
Yeah.
Great woman. Great woman to work.
How good was your dad as a jockey?
That was brilliant. Yeah, great man to watch, great hands.
Was he ahead of his time in terms of his style?
Yeah. A long way ahead.
So you'd be looking at him and like, would you have old videos that you'd look at him and say, well...
Yeah, I used to when we were younger, yeah.
Escargot and Brown Lad.
Tight Cottage and all them. Yeah.
So with Bobby Joe, did you feel like from an early stage this was a potential national winner?
Yeah, he was always a nice horse even growing up. Remember, we broke him at home, and as a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, he was brilliant to jump. He was always that, but he was always going to be a nice stayer. It took him a while to win as a horse. I think he was 7 or 8 before he probably won it.
20 years ago now. Yeah.
Because I think if I'm right, you might be riding unfancied horses in the Grand National, getting experience, and then you got one that was backed heavily into 10-1 on the day. Could you talk to us about the race? Can you remember much about the race itself?
I can, yeah. And I know Thomas backed him from my older brother, from the time he won the Irish National, the whole year.
Just like the goods of a year in advance.
Yeah, kept backing him. Even time he moved in, he kept backing him. He made a fortune. So he. It took me a while to get over the Irish National, and a couple of ones before I rode him, and he just felt dead. But when I rode him down to the start in the English National, I knew he was back. We just felt on form. Down and looked at the first, I thought, this lad is dinging today.
How much of that is down to just pure luck that the horse is kind of well in himself, and how much is down to training?
It's a bit of everything. Like, it takes, when you them Grade 1 races, it takes a lot out of them, so it just does take them that bit longer to get back to the where you want them.
Because the Irish National is a tough race.
It is, yeah.
You know.
Very tough. And you don't realise it. You think when they win it, you think, he could come out in a couple of weeks and run again, but you can't. You're burning the fuel out.
Because I think it was at Blue Charm and Addington Boy and Call It a Day. You were around the houses with them, and merry people, I remember, fell in the race. But it was really only after the last fence you started kicking on, wasn't it?
Yeah. Adrian Maguire sort of squeezed me a bit turning in, and I got to pull out. It was luckily enough because merry people fell in front of me, and when I pulled them out, he just started a big gallop. And
what's that feeling like?
Yeah, that must be
unreal.
something.
Yeah. To come to the elbow and you getting quicker and quicker. It's brilliant.
Do you know, but come in then and see your family, and like that Ruby said, you know, that obviously Papillon was his favourite. I think there was a famous incident about your celebration as well. What actually happened?
I took a little swing out of the rafters.
Yeah. Took a little swing out of the rafters.
Yeah. Des Lynam and everything.
Yeah. The thing about Bobby Joe was he was owned in Montbellew, which is basically where I'd started to go out at the time because I was 17, and the Hawthorne was the pub that I drank in, and they were the Burkes, and it was Bobby and Joe Burke, and it was Bobby's brother Eugene and Winnie who had the pub, and they erected a statue in Montbellew, and it's still there, Bobby Joe. And I always think of Paul Carbery because when they had that particularly cold winters, lads would come out of the pub and they'd think it would be great to reenact the 1999 Grand National, forgetting that it was quite an adhesive in that the frost was quite strong. So there were lads that actually the fire brigade had to be called to take lads off Bobby Joe in the morning. But thankfully there were no fires, it was very cold.
Did you back it?
No, it's funny, I'd absolutely no interest in racing at that time, and the whole thing went completely over my head. And then as I got into it in college, if you backed a horse, I will say, and in fairness, Paul Carbery riding a horse that time, if you backed a horse that Paul rode, and you could just see like a computer, you could just see him moving through the field very slowly with half a mile to go, and the buzz even that would give you, because you might win 10 bob or something. But I have to say, you did, watching you, because I wasn't into racing, watching the style that you had would have gotten me to love the sport, you know, and I think you should definitely, well, I don't know, where will you go down in terms of, Ruby's just retired, where will you go down? Geraghty and Russell are still going, McCoy's retired, where will you be down in the list, like?
Oh, I don't know.
Where would you put him, John?
As I said, the most naturally talented jockey I've seen at a race course. And everybody's different. Ruby, I thought, had a very good sense of timing. McCoy had an iron will. Everybody's different. Davy's been very resolute, you know, in his career to, you know, stick at it and win 2 Grand Nationals in a row. So I think we've been through a golden generation of Irish jockeys, I think. And we're very lucky to have been able to see some great races. What's the best race, Paul, you're involved in, do you think? Was it the Harbour Pilot?
It's got to be Archibald.
Archibald in Christmas Hurdle.
Oh, Kempton.
Kempton, yeah. Beating Rooster Booster, I think that was.
That race, I don't know if you remember that race at home, but that race was absolutely amazing. I think it was the same day as Kicking King won was it the same day as Kicking King, or was the year before?
Was this after the Champion Hurdle now that he won this Christmas Hurdle?
This is before, I think.
It was before.
Before, yeah.
Yeah, and what was interesting about that day was Rooster Booster's tactics were totally at odds with how he was usually ridden at Cheltenham. And for you, Paul, you were on a horse that obviously was well known to be a bit of a bridle horse, but Rooster Booster was miles clear.
Yeah.
So you were in a hopeless position there. No matter what you do, nearly you're wrong.
Yeah.
So what was your thought process? Did you know what Richard Johnson was going to do that day?
I kind of had an idea, but there wasn't so much I could do, because Archibald, he wasn't an out-and-out stayer. He just about got 2 miles. He'd probably be mile and 6 horse. So I always have to ride the first half mile as if
you're trotting
to save energy, and then after you get that over that, you can ride whatever way you want, but you can't go quick at the start because you've nothing left at the end. So I had to do my own thing anyway, and the speed he went off was just watching the whole time. He has to stop.
When do you start thinking, oh no?
I think he has to stop, and actually he ain't stopping. But then when he did start to stop, I said, oh, thank God, no.
When did you know? 2 out?
Turning in,
yeah.
You could see him start to... And there's nothing there to bring me along either, so I had to go and do it myself. So it's kind of hard as well. You can't go too early doing that either, or you'll stop, so... Just caught him in time.
What did Noel have a smile on his face after the race? He's never been to Kempton, actually.
No, he wasn't
there. Yeah. The Champion Hurdle that followed then, my favourite jumps race of all time, and I was in the Brave Inca camp. What camp were you in, John?
I don't think I was in any camp, actually. But it is the best race I think I've seen at Cheltenham, because it's so many good horses. Max Joy, According to Twal, Essex, I think back and front was in it. And there was that moment of Desi Hughes, Noel in the stands. You know, I wasn't really in any camp, but I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it what I saw. Is he the best horse you've ridden?
Yeah, he would be. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
And obviously it was painful at the time. Is it still painful?
2005. Just to tee it up, it was Archibald, Brave Inca, and Conor Dwyer making the run on Hardy Uses, owned by different men, trained by different men, all Irish trained in a golden era, and very different horses.
Went on some clip, good ground.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure they did go some clip.
No, probably didn't go as quick.
Because I think it was one of Conor Dwyer's best rides, actually.
Yeah. You know, that's what that is me watching the replay, because the replay that is on YouTube, it actually flicks at the start, and then you think they're going to something.
Yeah. And I'd say Conor steadied a bit, but tell us about that race. Still my favourite race, even though I was on one of the losers.
Yeah, Travel, he was after working the week before in Navan with Noel's other horses, about 10 of them, and he came up last in them. So he was
wasn't good.
No, so he probably just was coming right the day of the hurdle. Probably another week would have been a different story. He might have been...
Over the top?
He might have been actually 2 lengths better.
Right. Well, we can't change history, but anyway.
No, but he travelled great the whole way, and he always jumps very well. And I got probably too good of a jump at the second last. He got me there too early. And Barry Cash moved out with Brave Inca turning in, and that didn't help me either. If he'd stayed there, I'd have kept more energy in the horse, just following. But the fact that he opened up, he just used that bit of energy, jumped the last real well, cantering, and then he just ran out of steam just coming up the line.
When did you know it wasn't going to happen?
The minute I just
When did you went after him?
The minute I went
Nothing.
to dip, yeah, nothing. And that's him. He either has it or he doesn't. He's not a pig. He just gives it as much as he can.
This is important to know this, I think, for people that maybe have not listened to or seen Friday Night Racing before, because we all look at racing, especially at the big moments at Cheltenham and that, or Aintree or Galway or Punchestown, and sometimes we talk through our pockets and we go, "Why can't what's that jockey doing?
Yeah.
Hit him, or get the whip out. What's he doing?" And like, not all horses are the same, and I think it's important to educate, not in a patronising way, but just look. This is the way you have to ride the special type of horse for him to get there.
I think in terms of raw natural ability, and Desi Hughes, if he were alive, might disagree with me, but I think Archibald was definitely a more talented horse than Hardy Eustace. But to win at Cheltenham, you kind of need to have more assets than that. And when Sublimity won it for your brother Philip, he had the two of them slugging away, and they were probably maybe not quite at their peak.
No, they were a little bit over.
He could just tap, just wait. But then, what people maybe don't remember is Punchestown, because that must have been one of the most annoying days of your life. For what reason?
Well,
you should have overruled your trainer, and you didn't.
I should have just done my usual and done my own thing. But anyway, I was told going out, he said, "Now don't just go and win the race. Don't be garden with the people giving out about your ride in Cheltenham. Just come to last, take it up and go and win." And I said, right. And
but I can't. The Paul Carbery I knew or know should have just said, no. I'm gonna get, if I get this wrong, I get it wrong. But I know, and I think Noel might have been bought up by the crap in the media, because I think Noel knew the horse as well.
Yeah.
That's I never.
Imagine it happen now.
Well, it's just if you're taking on a run-of-the-mill horse that you could kind of maybe just beat through class, but you're taking on extremely tough horses, and it was a muddling race as well, which definitely wasn't going to help you.
No.
What happened?
Well, two things happened that day. Noel telling me that, and they held the race back about 10 or 15 minutes because Sir Anthony McCoy was late for the race.
Sir Anthony. He wasn't knighted at that stage.
No, but he was with the late, so we rang. And
he was late.
Late. The flight was delayed or something. So the stewards held the race back for him to come.
I never knew that.
Yeah. Any other jockey would have asked, they would have suspended him. So I think that was a joke. They let that happen.
I genuinely have no recollection of that, and it seems mad that might happen.
Yeah.
So why did that not help you? That he was riding him?
Because McCoy rode him. McCoy rode Brevinka, and Barry was on Max Joy, and I was cantering, coming to the last, and done as my trainer told me, took it up, jumped the last, and stopped. The two boys got back past me.
I'd say if there's a video like that people would show you to make you feel very bad about life, it's like, we're going to show you the video now, Paul. That must be it, because I'd say that's just horrible to watch.
Yeah, no, it is.
But
it's nothing worse than something's there for you to grab and then you can't grab it.
The day he went back and won the Christmas hurdle, I had an awful soft spot for Archibald, just because I don't think hurdlers who jump well get the credit they deserve, because we love a good chaser, but he was unbelievable to jump at speed.
He was brilliant, very good.
And went to Cheltenham, played against Intra-Sky Falcon, a few other horses subsequently, and won the Christmas hurdle, and won the Fighting Fifth rather, which must have been a great feeling.
No, it was, He used to love Newcastle. He really
flat track.
Yeah.
What was he like as a horse at home?
He was a character, nice horse, horse to ride.
And then the latter days of your career, Paul, what good horses do you remember? I remember you had Beat for Salmon, beat Best Mate at Leopardstown.
Yeah, Beat for Salmon, a lot of good chases I rode. Beat for Salmon, Flower the Pearl. Harbour Pilot was another good one. Yeah. Don Cossack near the end, good chase in him.
Like you talk about hills and distances and everything. Flower the Pearl, it was proven when you won the King George, the subsequent year in 2001, but in 2000 you nearly had the Gold Cup.
Yeah.
Looks like trouble just got you.
Yeah. And I was after winning and Looks Like Trouble the year before in Cheltenham.
Yeah.
It was one of them things.
Salbert for Charles Burns must have been a person, one of the highlights.
Yeah.
How was Charles like?
Charles was Charles.
Man of even fewer words.
Did he give many instructions? I wouldn't say he gave any instructions, did he?
Not a whole lot, just sort of told me, kind of drop me in there, do your own thing.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I think 14 Cheltenham winners is pretty poor for a fella of your ability, do you know? But it's just, why didn't you ride more Cheltenham winners?
Less races.
Noel Meads wouldn't have had many winners at Cheltenham.
No,
less races, sure.
just didn't have much ammunition going over the whole time. Like,
Also, the Irish like you wouldn't have had 19 winners. And I remember Frenchman's Creek, probably the best ride I ever saw Paul give a horse was Frenchman's Creek.
You're after preceding me there now, because I was going to finish up with that. Let's start with you, John, then. I'll go next, and then we'll...
I'll tell you a funny story with this. 2002 was my first Cheltenham for radio. And
first of 18 in a row?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I tipped up, I think, Horla Loire in the champion hurdle and the Bushkeeper, and they both won the first day. And after Horla Loire won, I watched Frenchman's Creek, or I think it was maybe before or after. I think it was afterwards back then. And Frenchman's Creek, Carbery Cross, and the two of them had it together. Carbery Cross, John O'Neill, and Paul did not move a muscle on Frenchman's Creek in a 3-mile handicap chase at Cheltenham the whole way around. Produced him on a platter, silver platter, like a Patrick Guibo style quality of silver service. And then he comes and wins at 8-1. Half an hour later, I'm walking around the enclosure at Cheltenham, looking, cause I'm a bit of a moper. I look down a lot. So I was looking down the ground and I saw a winning docket for Frenchman's Creek at 8-1 for 20 quid.
Here.
Picked it up, walked over to the bookie, because I was young. I wouldn't do it now, I'd probably give it to charity now, but back then I gave it to the bookie and I got 80 quid back. My first ever day at Cheltenham.
Beautiful.
Now, a day later, I had fractious Buvarales in the champion chase, and I was cheated out of 100 quid by bookies. So look, what goes around comes around.
That's it. I don't know if you'll even... I think you will, but my favourite ride is fairly obscure now. It's in a maiden hurdle at Fairy House for Dermot Weld. So do you remember the name of the horse? Definite Article.
Definitely.
Loyal Focus.
Yeah.
So I did a treble this day, a 20-euro treble. I think Bewley's Berry was one of them. I probably won't remember the third, but the first one was Loyal Focus, running off the flat, first maiden hurdle run for Dermot Weld, and you were riding it against a horse called Majlis, who was actually Japanese bred and trained by the late Michael O'Brien. Yeah. And when they clashed subsequently, Majlis actually beat Loyal Focus. What happened at Fairy House that day?
Dermot, Mr. Weld, he told me...
This is Mr. Weld now.
Mr. Weld, he says, should win, but don't win too far. I said, grand.
So what actually happened that day was you kind of missed the last.
Kind of, yeah.
Looked
it
like
was very soft ground.
Yeah.
It was always sort of travelling well. I didn't want to gun him down to it and then end up in front and then get past. So let him pop it and then just eased up beside you, man, and on the line just got his head up front.
It's sad. I can't find this video online anymore, but what he missed the last, it looked like he was briefly pulling the horse up and then sort of just edged it up to win on the line in a photo finish. And I remember I don't know who was it, Gary O'Brien was on at the race the same day or whatever it was called in those days, said, I think Paul Carbery's won there, but have I just seen what I thought I saw? And then he came in after race, and I think you said something like, "What's the fuss about? He told me to get there late." What's your favourite?
Well, Archibald definitely with the Rooster Booster, but I enjoyed Belvano in the
Grand Annual.
Yeah,
that was for Nicky,
Henderson, yeah.
20-1 shot.
Yeah, he told me on the Tuesdays, "Is a horse for you in the county hurdle, you'll win."
A horse in the county hurdle, it'll win. That was actually one of your best probably Cheltenham rides as well. Yeah. You before we wrap up, how much of a playboy were you? I've always thought this was completely overstated. Carbery's mad, loves the pints, yada yada. I've had a few pints, which I don't think you're much different to the average lad who just likes to crack. I think it's been something that's been overplayed. Maybe I'm wrong.
Nah, it's overplayed, alright.
Yeah.
Normal.
Yeah, still like the crack.
Yeah.
Tell us about your family briefly before we wrap up.
Well, Lauren is an older kid. She's 21 now. She's getting old. And then we've Casey Lou in there. She's 9. She's flying with the ponies. She's going to a show tomorrow. So LJ's then 6.
LJ.
Yeah.
Very Catholic Irish name.
Yeah. And she's going well now with the ponies as well. She's shows up on tomorrow too. And then we've Paul Charles, who's 2 next month, the 2nd of July. So.
Paul Charles, named after Charles Burns, is it?
Don't know what. She does the naming. And he's on the ponies already. So he's.
What age is he? 2?
Not 2 yet.
He's not 2 yet, and he's on the ponies already. Yeah. So if you think you're giving your children a fairly sheltered upbringing, Paul Carbery, speak to Paul Carbery. As well as that, what do you actually do now? You're pre-training?
Pre-training, yeah. Pre-training for Noel sends me a good few, and then Mr. Duggan sent me a few there lately, so, and Mr. McManus, so they were full up there 2 weeks ago now, and after a lot of them gone home, they're done and ready out, so just hopefully now we get a few from the sales next week.
Enjoying life?
Yeah, enjoying life, and then show jumping at the weekends, usually at the Sunday, to keep me interested, a bit of keep the competitive side of me.
I think that's important. John, let's talk some of the races at the weekend. You're taking over my shoes and probably going to do a lot better than I've been doing after tipping Sir Dragonor last weekend as well.
Don't worry.
Right weekend.
It is. The Belmont Stakes, I think, is the race we'll probably look at.
Do you know the winner of the Belmont Stakes from Ireland?
No.
Trained by Mr. Weld, only Irish winner.
Oh.
3 words, 2 of them the same.
Won at Galway.
We'll come back to you.
Won at Galway the year before.
Paul's having a think there.
The one I'm going to go for at a price of 2 to 1 is War of Will, Johnny, the Belmont Stakes. It happens in Long Island. It's tomorrow night, Irish time. It's the 3rd race in the Triple Crowns, with the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness Stakes, and the War and the Belmont Stakes. You need to win the 3 to win the Triple Crown, a bit like, the Triple Crown back in Nijinsky won. So Secretariat has won this race in the last few years. So War of Will won the Preakness. He's going over 1.5 miles. Okay, he's the only horse to have raced in the 3, and maybe he's improved. So I'm going to go for War of Will as the charity bet this week.
Yeah, and just to mention that charity bet, the Total Irish Injured Jockeys Fund remains at €4,989.44, nearly up on $5,000. After Dragno could only finish a close-up 4th in the Derby behind stablemate Sir Anthony Van Dyke. That was a remarkable first 6 for the Irish, 5 of them trained by Aidan O'Brien. It's unusually quiet in the Irish front this weekend. Navan is the only actual race meeting to take place, and obviously the big race is the Belmont Stakes. Ruby retiring before we finish off. Were you surprised?
No, not really. I kind of got wind of it a couple of months ago that he was going to stop Punchestown.
Come here. We'd have a good relationship now. That would have been the best story I'd ever had. There he is on screen. Jeez, thanks for that, Paul. Paul, of course, if you ring him, what's your voicemail? Did you change it?
No, it's still the same.
Oh, so Paul's voicemail actually is a mimic that he's there, and he says, "Hey, how you doing? Actually, I'm not here, leave a message." So you still have that development in you?
Yeah, do you fancy leaving a message?
But Ruby went out, I suppose, when he wanted, and you didn't.
No, but I'd say I never was going to.
Yeah.
It was always going to be a fall that was going to stop me from riding.
Yeah.
You found it, the adjustment and the big days not happening anymore. Did you find that hard at the beginning? Because it's your whole life, and then you're suddenly, what am I going to do here? Obviously, you've got a great family around you, so was that a good support?
It was always they were good support, right? But it's always hard when you do stop doing something you love and you're doing it for 25 years.
What you miss most is the weighing room camaraderie. Is it being on a good one?
Winning.
Is it really? Because it wouldn't be associated with the drug of winning. Was more the arts. It was hard with Carbery to tell the dancer from the dance with the eights, and that the artist from the art. But you did love winning.
Oh, I did love winning. Yeah. That's one thing I still love doing. Even show jumping now, I'd have to go for it, and just the competitive edge of me is always there.
What do you know? 49. 45. Yeah. How's the body?
It's good. It's the leg is still sore. It's always going to be sore. It's going to be weak the rest of my life. But just put up with it and keep going.
And what jockeys would you look out for in terms of promise and talent in Ireland at the moment?
It's great to see Paul Townley flying now as well. He's been there a long time with Willie, so he'll get a good reward now from Ruby retiring. I don't know after that. The usual. Jack. Hopefully Jack should be all right now, even with the boys trimming down a bit.
Kennedy, Jigginstone, yeah. John, it's been great having him in.
What a legend. Just a legend. What can you say? I remember the great races. You grow up as a fan of racing, and then you work in the game, and you grow up admiring people like Paul Carbery who put Irish racing on the map over the last generation. And we're always saying, "Oh, well, Irish racing is the greatest thing in the world, and we're really competitive." With Cheltenham and on the flat or across the world. But it's people like Paul that have made it possible.
I'll finish with a story Johnny Levins told me where they were riding in a race, an early race on a Saturday morning. Therein lies the rub. I think it was a Saturday morning, and it's traditional before the start to go down and see a sight of the obstacle in front of the horse, just to give him a kind of an idea of what's happening. And Johnny went down anyway and showed the horse in front of the hurdle, and Paul went down and showed his horse in front of the fence, and Johnny shouted across to Paul and he said, Paul, this is a hurdle race." And Paul said to the horse, "Laddie, we're jumping hurdles today." The great Paul Carbery, and he probably won as well if the story would go as script. Remember, you can enjoy the Tote versus SP, best price guarantee in all Irish racing this weekend. See thetote.com for more. Thanks for coming in, Paul.
No problem, thank you for having me.
And that was Friday Night Racing.
Friday Night Racing.
On Off the Ball.
And they're off. Brought to you by Go Racing. Plan your day at the races at goracing.ie.